Welcome back. Here today with Renae Rountree, Director of the Washington County Public Library, here on the campuses of the beautiful Florida Panhandle Technical College. Renae's here today because we're going to talk about how the Adult Education, the Learning Resource Center, as it's called here on the campus, works with the public library in enhancing those educational opportunities, in this case, for our adult population. The library offers huge resources. We've talked about them in the past. We're going to talk about some of them again today. Certainly that relationship, that cooperative effort, along with the Florida Panhandle Technical College, is pretty darn strong, pretty huge, and it's one you're probably going to be interested to hear about. We'll be right back. Welcome back. As mentioned, our guest today is Renae Rountree from the Washington County Public Library. Something I've always wondered about. Are you related to Philip Roundtree, for whom the stadium was
yes,
named?
He was my grandfather, and he was a big person in education in the state of Florida, but specifically in Washington County. I always like to tease him. I went into education. It just was lifelong education instead of K through 12. So, yeah.
Interesting. As I mentioned in the introduction, of course, we work very closely with Florida Panhandle Technical College, and I know just recently, Martha Compton, director at the school, said, can you go over to the library? We have a bunch of our adult education students making a trip down to the library. Talk, if you would, Renae, about what that effort was all about and how that cooperative effort does work.
Well, it was just one of those little kismet things, kind of, Miss Compton had stopped into the library, and she had some questions. She's just like us. She works on a dwindling budget all the time. You always have to make every dollar count, no matter what. And she wanted to know, were there any resources that might, help out her students that she could access through the public library? And I was very excited to tell her about some of the new resources that we just had acquired. Probably, I would say they went live this summer. And they're wonderful. They're great for adult education. They're great for just continuing education. And they're great for just pleasure. I would say probably the one that they will be using at the Panhandle Technical College here will probably be Learning Express Library. Learning Express Library is an online service that the library offers. You're able to sign in, create an account. There are tests for GED prep, math prep. If you're looking to take the TABE test or any type of placement test, or if you're looking to take the test to go into the military, there are all of those practice tests involved. There's tutorials. If you need to sharpen up your math skills, even if you need to sharpen up your resume building skills, all of that is available 24/7, whenever you want it. Once you create your account, it keeps track of your progress. It suggests things that you need to work on. It's elaborate and wonderful, and probably, I could use it and I probably would barely skim the surface of all that it offers, but it offers a variety of things for whatever, the adult student really needs to focus on.
What another sterling example of the forward thinking on the part of Martha Compton. Martha is an asset to the school. She's very aggressive, very proactive. She doesn't sit back and wait for things to happen or for it to come to her. She's out there, and this is a great instance of that, where she stopped by and said, how can we work together? Over the summer, they remodeled our Learning Resource Center, and as they went through the old book stacks, they realized we had books from the 70s. We had instructional booklets on some of the old versions of DOS, which don't even exist anymore. So they realized that they needed to get rid of a lot of that, update what they could, just like everybody else. They've got budgetary constraints. But what that allowed was the enhancement of that Learning Resource Center and the clearing out of areas that now can be used for large assemblies. And just in the last few months, we've had several speakers in there. We've held the Veterans Day celebration in there. It's given us more room. And here you are, a block away, literally at the end of Hoyt Street, right there on Highway 90, basically share that same corner just about, makes total sense. Now, in the case of our adult learning facilities here, the Learning Resource Center and the adults who are part of that program, many of them in what used to be called the GED program, which now has a different name, but at the end of the day, they're trying to complete their high school equivalency.
Oh, yes.
Again, the opportunity to use all of your resources, more importantly, I would think, is that opportunity after they're done with whatever they're doing here. They're aware of the library, they're easily recycled back there, and they're going to become lifelong users of that physical library now once they're off this campus. Talk a little bit about that and how that made you feel when you realized that this was giving you another whole audience.
It's always wonderful to partner with someone to realize that, you know, one of the things that I'm always saddened by is the fact here we're offering all of these wonderful, great services, and there's just not enough hours in the day for me to market. I market when I'm in the checkout line at the Piggly Wiggly. I market when I am at the dentist's office getting a cleaning. I talk about the library almost 24/7 if I'm out in the community. But at the end of the day, you know, even with press releases and emails, you just can't do it all. You know, our staff is small for a library system that runs 4 locations. So even as there's not enough hands and bodies to just pull it all off. So when we have somebody else that comes from the outside and says, you know, I really, really need this service. Can you provide it? You know, can you help me? And then we are able to immediately say, hey, you know what? You may not be aware of it, but we have this. And we give them the opportunity to market it. That is a wonderful, wonderful thing. It's even better because a lot of times people don't listen to us. You know, we drink the Kool-Aid, so to speak, on our own products. So they're like, you know, I could speak all day about how wonderful the library is, but ultimately it's, you know, the next door neighbor or the friend or the relative that is going to go and say, oh my gosh, have you been into the library lately? They have this wonderful stuff that is going to bring a person in, not me. So it's great to have somebody to come in, and we're delighted that we can offer an opportunity. You know, sometimes what I like to call the school district price and then the public library price can be very, very different. So I can, you know, purchase a service. I can serve 25,000 people in my county. It can include all of her students here at the technical college. But if she were to try to go out and purchase that same service, she would be labeled a school district, and even though not as many people would have access, she might pay a different price. So, you know, when it comes to something like that, that is when partnerships truly, truly make sense, because that's when you can really get the maximum amount of taxpayer return on investment, which is a hugely important issue for libraries and for schools.
Yeah, and why have a duplication of services?
Right.
At all, let alone a block from one another. We've got a brand new $25 million school, Kate Smith Elementary School, at the other side of our campus. We're sandwiched between the library and the City Hall complex and that new KMS. What other organizations, if any, do you have those sort of partnerships with?
Well, we do partner with the Extension Office frequently. We partner with other libraries. We partner at the state level with our library, our Bureau of Library Development. And then also we're part of something called, in our county, we're part of something called PLAN, which is the Panhandle Area Library Network. And it's a multi-library cooperative. And most people have no idea they exist. If you're even like a lower level staff member at a library, you don't know that they exist. But there's 5 in the state of Florida, and they cover 5 different regions. And ours plan represents 16 counties in the Panhandle, which is basically the entire Panhandle. And they do a variety of things, training, resource sharing, Right now, our e-audio books, that is done through them. Once again, it's just like our Overdrive, where a group of small libraries band together to increase their buying power and their resources, and then you have an opportunity to offer a wonderful service to a large amount of library patrons that would never have access to it.
Renae, thanks so much for all that you do. You guys are providing a huge number, an array of services that many of which I was not aware, and the educational, the remedial educational, the public service part of the public library, that's huge. And I started off the show by saying I was ready to eat some humble pie insofar as my premise that the library was going away. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. You guys have actually taken on a much larger role. You're providing a larger number of services. And you guys have succeeded in becoming an even more integral part of that educational, especially post-secondary school educational effort. And hats off to you guys. It's a noble work that you do. Hats off to our county for providing the funding that they do, especially if they are increasing over time.
Oh, yes.
And you mentioned earlier on that you didn't have a lot of time to market. Use us any way that you can. Feel free to come back often. Let's let our viewers know what you guys have that's new and exciting. If we can build a fire under somebody and get them interested in coming to the library that very first time, it sounds like you guys can do the rest.
Oh, yes, we can. So, yeah, we are more than welcome to welcome you in our doors, no matter what.
Thanks again for being here.
Thanks a lot.
Here today on the campuses of beautiful Florida Panhandle Technical College, talking to Renae Rountree, Director of the Washington County Public Library. In this case, talking about that cooperative effort between the library and the Technical College, something that I was unaware of. But the opportunities for you as a student here have just become increased because of that cooperative partnership with the library. In any case, if you have not been in the library recently, you probably don't know what the library offers because that array of services, that array of products is just drastically enhanced. Check them out. It's the Washington County Public Library, and we'll be right back.